So, it's April 1st. This year I'm just going to mention my April Fool's video, which I can specifically say is the most widely viewed 3D related April Fool's video on YouTube, namely Disney Plus showing 3D movies. Yes, posted that 2 years ago and it finally came true.
Something's happening.
Your favorite movies.
Something extraordinary.
Now in a new dimension.
Something exciting.
Something authentic and true. Everything changes now.
What's next? The future.
Compatible with 3D televisions, projectors, VR devices, and more. Coming free to all subscribers. April 31st, 2022.
The only part that didn't come true was the line, compatible with all devices. No, you can't play it back on your projector, TV, anything, just for the Apple Vision Pro. Now, we already talked about the Apple Vision Pro on another episode, but feel it's important to say a couple things. A noticeable special aspect of this is that movies can now be available in next generation 3D formats, like Ultra HD 3D and potentially high frame rate. As for the high frame rate, Avatar 1 and 2 are currently, I believe, the only ones that are available. I know the Hobbit movies were filmed in high frame rate and they're on there, I believe, but I was told that they aren't showing in their native 48 FPS. However, I also heard that Kung Fu Panda, is it 4? Is that the latest one? Anyway, the latest Kung Fu Panda from this year was actually made in high frame rate, 48 FPS. And it's actually screening that way in 3D in some places overseas, I heard. Obviously not in the US, but it was specifically to be shown that way on the Apple Vision Pro when it eventually comes there. So that's an interesting thought, that there may be more movies, even ones we might not expect, that they may make a high frame rate version for, or at least variable frame rate. And the other intriguing aspect is, of course, having 4K 3D. Now, as for the resolution of the Apple Vision Pro, the panels that are in front of your eyes, they are specifically 3660 by 3200 per eye. So it seems obvious that that would display 4K 3D content. However, remember that this is basically a VR device, and a lot of those pixels wouldn't actually be used for the movie. This chart here that a user on Blu-ray.com shared shows the far peripheral, the near peripheral, and the overlap that when you can see both sides of the 3D movie at the same time. So there will be major resolution loss. And if you watch the movie in the virtual environment, or really any environment where you're seeing the entire screen, you're going to be losing most of that 4K resolution, or maybe even all of it, maybe down to 1080p, depending on the size of the screen. And if you want to see it at its optimum 1-to-1 pixel clarity, you're going to be cutting off part of the picture. And while we're on this topic, it's also interesting to note that the Apple Vision Pro intentionally blurs the pixels on its display to add the illusion of smoothness. So yeah, that'll hide any potential screen door effect, although at that size I doubt it would be that glaring, but at the expense of sharp detail. But the good part is that the full quality of these versions are hosted, even if you can't really effectively see them in their fullest quality on the Apple Vision Pro, nor will there likely be an update anytime soon that will have that much more resolution to account for it. But hopefully they come to their senses and allow play back on other devices or even make newer devices that can play these back at full quality. Most of the 4K 3D televisions that were made in that limited window of time were capable of showing Ultra HD 3D content. Half resolution, but that's still twice the resolution of 1080p. I've done tests on it, and it's when you use native 4K content, it's truly stunning. The LG I tested did it. My active Samsung that I use for my computer monitor, 55-inch active 4K 3D at full resolution. So it's a serious shame that these high-quality versions are available, but they can't be seen, even on the Apple Vision Pro. But as long as they're there, it's kind of future-proof, and it can be potentially output to other devices if they choose to do that in the future. So that's all I'll say about that, and I'll see you next time. So that's all I'll say about that. Wow. So that's all I'll say about that. So that's all. Wow. It's tough. So that's all I'll say. Wow. So that's all I'll say. So that's all I'll say about. Oh, wow. This is amazing. So that's all I'll say about. I'll say. I'll say. So that's all I'll say about that.